BBC TV18 Weekender.
What would you say has been your most memorable investment?
I would say for me it was Spectramind because it was very early on, and thanks to Raman Roy and his team, you know, they were really pioneers in what they did, and people don't realize it was a very hard time at that time. And for us at Chris Capital, you know, we were really hurting because we'd made some stupid .com investments. And so Spectramind, I think, was a fun journey. Just fun people who worked really hard and being part of the story in some small way, but also very rewarding because it set us up for success, you know, in the future.
So Spectramind is your most memorable investment. Would it also be your most profitable investment?
No, it wasn't. I would say the most profitable ones were Shriram Transport, Suzlon, because we were very early, Mankind Pharma. There are a number of these in Intas, there are a number of these investments, UTI Bank. These were some of our most profitable investments.
So if you had to tell people tips for investing, the kids, what would it be?
To kids?
When I say kids, I mean people getting out of university, younger people.
Oh, younger people.
Yeah.
I would say, first of all, save money early on because it does accumulate. Two is, have a very high allocation towards equities. All data you look at over long periods of time shows you equities compound much faster, and the compounding effect is substantial. So I know when you have a small amount of wealth, you think, am I really going to be in the stock market? Shouldn't I really have it in a bank deposit or some other instrument? I think you should be heavily in equities. Buy a mutual fund, a good one, and just stay in it and put money into it regularly, like a SIP investment, a standardized investment plan. So that's the advice I give people. Be 80, 90%, 100% equity, unless you need the money. If you're in a job and you're already, you know, making enough money to cover your expenses and saving some, I would be heavily in equities because that compounding effect will really help you in the long run.
So basically buy out, like invest in a mutual fund and then don't obsess about stock price, shut your eyes
and be there for 20 years, 30 years. I mean, people don't realize that some of these funds, like HDFC's fund that started 20 years ago, is up almost 40 times from then. You know, imagine if your wealth is up 40x. I mean, I know inflation's gone up, but it's significantly ahead of inflation. So I'm not saying you'll make a 40x in the next 20 years, but you could very well make a 20x in the next 20 years.
What about, I know the property market is dead, what about real estate as an asset class or gold?
You know, when you have, first of all, it's time intensive. So if you're in a job, managing real estate, very difficult. Equities, just hassle free. Also, I believe compounds faster rate, tax structure is better. So it's a better investment class in my mind than property. You don't have to worry about black money, all of that stuff. Gold, I don't like at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of the day, gold has no yield attached to it. And gold's returns over a long period of time, last 20, 30 years, have actually been quite poor. So I'm not a huge fan of it.
Because I think it appreciated so fast about 10 years back that everyone thought there's very little upside left.
Yeah, so there are these super cycles when it goes up, but it's not for people like me. And I wouldn't advise people to invest in gold.
Would you answer if I asked you which are the stocks you like right now?
I won't name specific stocks because I don't have the conviction I did earlier, but I do think that this is not a bad time to actually put money into, it's not dirt cheap, it's not like 2002 and 3 when we invested very heavily and did very well. But I think I'm very bullish on India actually over the next 10 years. I think the cycle is going to turn in the next 4 to 8 quarters, and when it turns, it'll turn faster than people think. And so I think top line growth, earnings growth over a 5, 7 year, 10 year period will actually be quite good in India. And so stay invested for the long haul. Don't worry. People often say, oh, the 1 year outlook isn't good. I'm not as concerned. I'm a 10 year, 20 year kind of
So you're not concerned about the flight of capital, America making showing signs of a revival?
You know, frankly, it's to our benefit because if at all there's some capital flight, valuations will go down and prices are lower, you buy more.
I know you said, you're not actively investing, but from your experience, because you guys made, like you admitted, you made a lot of mistakes during the whole dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
Do you fear a lot of people might be following a similar path, making similar mistakes today when it comes to startups?
I do think so. I think that there's this justification that the market is different. Of course, it's much more evolved. There's a real revenue pool. Quality of startups is better. Although I'm a little bit skeptical about that. I mean, I think these are smart kids coming out of IIT, but many of them don't have any business sense at all. So I do think that some of the stupid mistakes that were made back in 99, 2000 are being made all over again. Even in that era, there were a lot of smart people doing these startups. But when you get a lot of money thrown at you, you're inevitably going to do stupid things.
So do you fear that we might be headed for another crash?
I think we will have a crash, yes. And it's already starting to happen. I think there'll be a lot of shutdowns. Of course, the internet, mobile, these are all long-term trends. So don't get me wrong. I think value will get created over a longer period of time. But the next 2, 3, 4 years are going to be quite tough, is my sense.
It's like the men will survive and the boys will crash.
The wheat gets separated from the chaff or whatever it may be,
So consolidation is also inevitable?
Consolidation as in mergers, yes, some of that. But a lot of death will happen as well. Companies will die. They won't survive.
So Ashish, I'm a fiercely competitive person and I will say you beat me as you did, but all is fair. Thank you for inviting us here to Ashoka University. We had a great time. Thank you for inviting us for the weekend. And with that, folks, we're going to wrap up this edition of CNBC TV 18 Weekender. We'll see you same time next week.
CNBC TV 18 Weekender.